have to have the right to defend yourself and to fight it. They can't
Okay, hang
just
on.
do
Let me
that.
cook a second. Let me cook a second. So yeah, it makes sense. You would call them up and say, "Hey, so that would mean then." What does that mean then? That makes
That
it
they did
even more
notify her.
confusing.
They did notify her, and that they planned this because I'll tell you. Oh, okay. I'll tell you this one.
Mm.
And it happened to me in Panama in 2014 after I won the cases. And I flew with my son. I took all the judgments sealed by the Supreme Courts and everything, right? And there was under an international treaty. And I flew to Panama with my son. Interpol was waiting for me in Panama at the gates of the airport. And then they said to me, Mrs. Matanovich, can you come with us? We just received this wanted notice from Norway. This is in 2014.
Okay,
Because they said,
got it. My AI assistant, right? My AI assistant, right? It's coming through with this, right? So, a red notice is not an international arrest warrant. It's a wanted persons alert shared globally amongst Interpol's 195 members. It helps track down fugitives across borders. A national, why is a red notice issued? A national law enforcement authority requests it. There is a valid arrest warrant or court decision in place, which is what this one is. A person is wanted in serious crimes like murder, fraud, trafficking, because what happens after it's issued? The notice is circulated internally. Local police in other countries are asked to locate. And I thought, up until I read this, I thought you were mental, Paula.
no,
I
they have
thought
to let
Paula's
you
been in the
know.
sun too
Juan,
long.
I lived this I
I
lived
know.
this. This is what I lived through, and this is why Norway is in so much trouble and they redacted all the documents. Because in 2014, when they stopped me in Panama, they had notified me. I already won the trials against Norway in under international treaties. And when I told the guys and the red alert, this is how sneaky they were. They posted as though they didn't know where I was. They posted the red alert as though they hadn't put me through a whole year of a trial under an international treaty, and I won it.
Okay,
So
so
when
this
I
this
showed
would
the
be
guys the judgments, the guys goes, he went and verified it, and this is when he phoned the ambassador to Norway and said, "By the way, you lied to us. You put a red
okay.
alert
So
under false
once again,
pretense."
Paula has proved that her brain is way bigger than mine.
It's not
And I
that.
just
It's not that. I lived through it, so I know what
I
they're.
know you did. I know you did, but it's way more. It's fun. It's more fun to imagine you're not living through it and you just have a bigger brain than me.
Oh, I
So,
wish you weren't. This is how I learned the hard way. This is
so
how
it's
I
up
learned
to
the
each
hard way.
country how they deal with it all. But that's really interesting. So
Yep.
again, we're learning stuff here, people. Okay.
Yeah.
Free Julia Vandelt Facebook. What's up, Julia Vandelt Facebook? If you want to come and join us, come and join the Discord and
So
come and
this
join.
is why I'm saying to you that this thing that they've done to her is very sneaky because
It's very sneaky.
if
I agree.
when I took the plane from Nicaragua to go to Norway, I went to the airport and they said to me, "Ma'am, because it appears on all the airlines, the police had already told me here."
Okay, I'm with you, but we need to wrap up this point now. We're
Why didn't
obsessed.
they notify Julia?
Okay,
That's one
so
point.
now that we've proved this point, it does say at the bottom here that it's up to the country that are being notified how they act. So we could imagine that Poland was just like, nah, I'm not going to bother telling her, and she's went over there, which is. But Paula, isn't it just goddamn fishy? It's another layer of fishiness, mate. Because
And where is this girl's mother?
oh, Paula, before you hit us with that bombshell, Agent Orange. Anything else you'd like to throw over to Paula?
Sorry about that. Agent Orange, I'm
that's
sorry.
fine. Thank you, Paula.
Paula, Agent, you're dealing with me. Listen, side chat. Paula and I will talk over each other. Okay, we will seem like we're very, very rude to each other. It's
Yeah,
just
I love him.
don't worry about it. Okay, everything is good. Right, let's bring the one and only Uber Fuber in for our daily update.
Oh, by the way, I have to tell people something. I am
Yeah.
hard of hearing, guys. Even though I'm wearing, I really will have to get a hearing aid now. I really am, but I don't want to because
You should get one of those like
they
Elon
look.
Musk.
Everybody can see the hearing aids.
Oh, in 2025, have you seen what some hearing aids look like, man? It looks like MIs. They're tiny, they're totty, man. It's all good.
Really?
Yes, exactly. Julia Vedder. Uber, you skimp.
Yo,
What's up?
go on. How are you, mate? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. You got anything you want to throw
Hello,
over on?
Paula.
Hello, hello.
Yeah, I mean, so she had, Julia had 4 charges, and she's had 3 out of the
Yeah, 3 dropped. Here, can I ask you something, Uber? Right? If I've got
So
4,
there's one charge.
yeah, but
There's one charge now.
if I've got
remaining.
4 charges, right?
Yeah.
There can't be like. It can't be like, oh, we've dropped 3 of the 4 charges, but this one last charge has like multiple events inside it or anything. Is that, does it?
It depends. Yeah, that one charge can have multiple events in it.
Okay,
yes,
sweet.
it can.
So I do
So it's
believe
gonna-
everything involving the twins and the kids has been wiped, and the majority of the online conversations have been wiped, and it's focused entirely on the direct, repeated messaging and the confrontation outside the McCann's house. So that's, I think, where we're at with it.
Okay, how many times is this Julia did this?
Gone to our house
Yeah, confrontation in total.
once.
Okay, that is not harassment.
Well, that's likely what the charge is.
Well, here's the thing. Sorry, Uber, on you go, mate.
Yeah, and if she's going, if she went to the house, I would say that would be the charge that's now pending, isn't it?
Correct. So you can look at it. You can look at it 2 ways. The McCanns are like, we don't want our kids being dragged into court, so let's get rid of them. I don't know if it works like that. If it's like America, where it's like, I want to drop the charges.
It can do, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it can.
So it could be that. It could also be they've been denied. They have the McCanns as well. They've been denied. Oh, don't know if I can say that.
Well, there's only 3 reasons. There's only a few reasons to drop the charges. I think that the prosecution can do that. But the problem is that why are the McCanns pushing for this to begin with? If the person only showed up to their house once? What if I go to their house once? That means I'm harassing and stalking?
Well, that's it. Well, here's the thing. So they're looking at it as being the one occasion in person, and then when they've contacted the McCanns. But here's the thing. Like, Julia was there in January and went into the police station and asked if there was any reason she should be arrested because of the phone call she received from Operation Grange. They said that there was no reason they would arrest her. And then that was during the time frame where she went to visit the McCanns. And then after that occasion is when all of this has become an arrest warrant and whatever else. It seems to me the timing is very, very odd. And it seems to me like none of this was an issue until that headline from the Daily Mail saying that Julia was a 69% match to one of the parental DNA strains from the said family.
That's a lot.
That's a massive. Paula,
that's a lot.
If you and I
where did they compare it with? I'm confused. Sorry. Just clarify something for me because I'm confused. Okay, you said that her DNA match which DNA?
The DNA taken from the McCanns from within the Portuguese room where Madeline was, and they all stayed because it was a missing persons case, and they needed DNA of all the family. So the DNA is all the family.
I'm gonna be pushed back a little bit. Didn't the dogs? Didn't they find something in the car, but they couldn't match it because it wasn't 100% match either?
No, the sniffer dogs are cadaver dogs.
No. But they also found remembered traces of DNA, but they couldn't completely identify because
I can't comment. I don't know. You're probably right. Yeah. But
no, that's what they said, that they couldn't, that they had traces and they had a high percentage.
That could be
there. Cadaver dogs.
But what we're talking,
the best cadaver dogs in the world.
But what we're talking about is the DNA. The cadaver dogs are the best in the world. Yeah, 100%.
Can you imagine also that asshole saying, the father saying, ask the dogs, when they ask him, well, the dog signaled to you having, a dead body. And he goes, well, go ask the dogs. You know what? Because I know I've seen so many documentaries, especially the Sonia Polton one, and this guy who did he really did a documentary on that. And he had the guy from the dogs. And he's now working for the FBI in the United States.
It's the best sniffer dog in the world. Okay, just to clarify, and here's where it all gets a bit sad.
That's what it does.
Here's where it all gets a bit sad, and people get angry with me. Okay, because I believe that cadaver dog. All right.
Yeah,
me too. Me too.
I 100% believe that there was a deceased individual in the back of that car. That's what I believe.
I think I know what happened.
Can I tell you whose body it was? No. Could I tell you that it was a little girl? No. but I know for a fact that dog ain't lying.
Oh,
All right?
wait a minute.
Mhm.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. No. Before the dogs went into the house, you know what the mother did? She washed the cuddly toy. Remember when she said the cuddly toy?
Yeah,
She
do you know
washed
what?
it
Yeah.
when she found out the dogs were coming. So they gave the dogs the smell of the cuddly toy that had been washed, but still, I imagine,
It
had
wouldn't
some
make a
scent.
difference. It's not, it's not,
No, it wouldn't make a
that's not a
difference, no.
bloodhound. It's not a bloodhound. They wouldn't give her any. The dogs don't get anything to sniff. They're just looking for death. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
who's dead. They're not looking for, oh, that death smells a bit like mad. Sorry, Paula. They weren't given anything. It's not that kind of sniffer dog, but I get what you're saying. But there's a lot of weirdness, Paula. The thing she
Why
wrote
would you
down
Certain
here.
wash the
chemicals are
smell of your
released from the
daughter's
body once it
cuddly
starts to
toy?
decompose, and that's what the sniffer dogs zero in on.
Paula, I've got
What did he
a
say? What did he
clipping.
say? What did
What
Uber
did
say?
you say, Uber? What did you say, Uber?
I said basically when the body starts to decompose, it lets off certain chemicals,
Yeah.
and that's what the dogs zero in on.
Yeah, 100%.
But didn't they get rid of her body immediately? Because apparently she felt
Whoa,
that.
whoa! We can't say, didn't they get rid of her body
Sorry,
immediately? We cannot say that.
allegedly,
I just want to say
sorry.
the McCanns have in no way, shape, or form been charged with anything that could even remotely bring us to the conclusion that they done anything with any form of body or any sort of treachery. They're super honest people that we can believe.
Absolutely.
All right.
Let's just say I have a
So,
friend in Portugal that went through the same thing,
yeah.
and
Allegedly, though.
he said that his kid might have had some medication given to keep him from waking up,
Okay.
and the kid
So,
woke up and he was dumb, and the kid was
Yeah.
kind of fussy, got on the couch, fell on the other side of the couch, broke her neck,
yep,
and
100%.
that's what
This
my
is
friend said happened to his friend.
fully viable possibility.
And
And
because
then
they all knew they were in trouble, and they had high reputation careers, then they
Right.
all decided to band together
yeah.
and cover
Listen,
for you.
can I just say something though, right?
That's my friend though.
Have you ever heard?
Julia
Right?
is not Maddie.
Have you ever heard? Okay, of the hang on a second. Fuck. The Lazarus effect.
Lazarus effect,
Yeah,
yes.
the Lazarus effect.
The one that
So
resuscitated?
the Lazarus effect is when you are medically pronounced dead
Yeah.
and then
wake up
suddenly
later.
come back to life days later at your funeral.
Yeah.
Could
Yeah.
you imagine? Now, just let me hear. Let me finish. Could you imagine a world where a family's on holiday in, say, oh, I don't know, Portugal, and they are absolute degenerates when it comes to what they consider childcare? They leave their kids alone, and Paula, something tragic happens. But don't worry, because your husband has a tennis bag that's a suspicious size, right? And you pronounce this person dead. You put them in the bag. The police come over. You run out and say, they've taken her. And then 2 days later, you open up the bag and she's alive. What do you do then? What do you do then, Paula, if you've got a missing girl that is just, it turns out you've hidden her in a bag because she had an accident and you've lied to the police? What do you do now?
I don't know.
Exactly. That's the face
You
you should be
come back
making.
later on and you put that kid somewhere else.
Or do you
His wife, the
ship her
dog,
off to? Do
everything.
you phone up your contacts and go, "Hey, listen, we need to make a kid. We need." Because for me,
I am just shocked how quickly the government got involved, and you know that they had all their friends come and trample into the where it should have been kept, the evidence room. You know, like for example, it reminds me of John Bennett, that because the woman declared it that it was a kidnapping. They
Yeah.
had all their friends coming, and the father moved the little girl from the basement up. You know, so the evidence was trampled on because. And this is what the behavior panel was saying, and this is why I said that the behavior panel was bought, because then they concluded that, oh no, you know, that's okay for them to think that the first thing to think that the kid was taken. That wouldn't have been. They've said the opposite for years in their channels. You know that any parent or person who tries to call 911 and tries to frame the crime or the scene in such a way
Yeah.
that or guide it to a certain way, that's obstruction in many ways, because that's what
I'm
the
with
mind
you.
of the police. The police, what they thought, everybody can drive out of Portugal.
We're talking about the most famous family in the world. We're talking about 20 million in government money. There's so much more at risk here than
Can
Never
buy
mind
you friends, can't it?
you see. There's
Never
so much.
mind that, Ron. Never. Do you know who they had issue a plea for Madeline?
Who?
Who is the man I adore the most other than my son?
I don't know, but no. William. Oh, Ronaldo.
Cristiano went on. Cristiano went on, on TV and national television and pled for the little girl, and he said,
Okay.
just leave her outside.
All of this is great. Okay, all these little factoids in there are great, right? But here's the thing: the people on the side chat are asking about should we do a poll who believes that Julia's Maddie. Here's the thing: I can give you a theory on every outcome. I can give you a plausible theory for why that cadaver dog said that there was death, why the Lazarus effect is. I can give you a way to fit in Julia being and Julia not being, and it fully all makes sense to me. And at no point do I even give a rat's ass. For me, it's all about Julia getting the answers she wants. And I think that at this point, it needs to be her parents. I also believe that if the McCanns ever wanted to do something that would make them look in a good light, then just give her the DNA.
Because let me give you another point of view also. They are detracting possible people from coming forward to saying I could be Madeline McCann. Because if this is how they're going to, no, but you know what I mean. It's like they're detracting other people. They're frightening people into bringing possible Madeline McCanns forward. Because if this is the way they're going to treat anybody who comes forward, say, I may be, all I want is a DNA test. And other people are going to say, if the real Madeline's still alive, he's going to say, shit, I don't know, but, I better not approach them because I'm going to end up in jail and they're not going to give me a DNA test.
Paula, do you actually believe Madeline could be alive, though?
Oh, God, no. I think she was buried about 40 kilometers with that phone ping. No. Did you watch that document? You guys haven't watched the documentary by this man. I'll send it to you, Ron. Because what's the name of the father? He turned off the phone. And then with the rental car, they drove about 40 kilometers away. And for some reason, and it's like in the middle of nowhere. Apparently, he turned on the phone by accident and the phone pinged there. And then he immediately shut it off. And there was this millionaire who had been helping them for a while. And suddenly he withdrew the funding. And apparently nobody has gone to look around there where the phone.
Hang on. So we need to just address the.
I'm jumping out, mate.
Yeah, that's fine, mate. That's cheers, River, mate. So, okay, so I need to make it clear. A lot of you can sort of dip into a conversation like this and think it's a disrespectful conversation. None of us on here are saying Julia is or isn't. Okay, we're just having an open discussion every day. Now, I can give you reasons that fit into anybody's she's not theory, and I can make it that she is, because there is so many layers to not just the trafficking world, but the conspiratorial world that turns out to be conspirafact. There is a lot of things, for example, that could be natural. Okay, so for example, Jerry could be very embarrassed about something that took place on a holiday, and he now has, somebody that he doesn't talk about and keeps secret and doesn't want the world to know about. It could be that. It could be a lot of things. But I'll tell you something, Kelly Marsh. I'll tell you one thing. There's a lot of similarities. There's so many similarities, Kelly, that it's almost fishy how many similarities there are. And it's almost on par with the level of fishiness that covers this entire case. And I'll be honest with you, Kelly, if it was just one layer of fishiness and everything else in this case was handled professionally, none of us would be here. Okay? None of us would look at this case and go, okay, I'm going to throw all my time and effort into this because there's one little thing. There is a multitude of things, from markings in the eyes to teeth to ears to noses to smiles to, in fact, hang on a freaking minute. Somebody sent me an absolute clanger earlier. Let me just bring it up for you all. Because I now can't find it. They're on the desktop. 1 second. 1 second, everybody. Sorry, Paula. Paula's sitting there like, you told me to be quiet. I'll give you another 30 seconds and then I'm chiming back in. Give me 1 second, everybody. And they're not on the desktop. Freaking hell, right? So someone sent me the images where they'd taken half of Julia's face, half of one of the famous family, and put them together. And it's a great little resource, and I can't find it. So I will post it in the Discord. But there's so many layers to this. Why in the love of God was she sent to America and put in the hands of this mental case? Why are we all forgetting the fact that Julia was held captive and had to phone the police on this woman? There is so many layers of oddities to this that if you want to write off all these layers, then I strongly think you are the sort of individual that looks at the migrants coming over here and goes, well, it's not that bad, right? It's great. Labour are making brilliant decisions for us. You're not that stupid, okay? Even the people that think that Julia is just here to be, oh, I'm Maddie. Oh, I'm Maddie. Mate, like, even you, the hater, at this point must be like, can someone despitefully do a DNA test and prove this girl wrong?
Exactly.
Because I'm on board for that too. If it has to be a spite test, let's make it happen. But
It's another form of abuse, towards this girl. And the thing is, though, that again, if Jerry McCann is trying to find his daughter, acting this way towards anybody who believes to be her or could be a slim chance, why is he so convinced it's not her? If he doesn't allow her to get the DNA test.
Yeah, it's really odd.
You know what I mean? Because then, if, for example, imagine that Madeline is still alive, and then she's grown up. We don't know what kind of life she could have led, because that's another thing people should understand, that depending on the kind of life you've had, your physique changes. It becomes hard, you age or whatever, And let's say Madeline fell in the hands of a cult and she managed to escape late, her features are not going to be that of a person who's led a life. You know what I mean, Ron? You know that. You know what I mean, right?
Yeah, I do. Of course I do.
Somebody who does drugs or who falls into this horrible habits because of the kind of life, or has been beaten or whatever. It's not going to look like the little girl that you had when she was 3 years of age, So what if this woman truly thinks it's Madeline, and she's coming to the people?
Right,
I'm not saying she is.
That's it, Paula. I mean, this is setting a precedent for any missing person case, is what this is.
Not to come forward, because if you do, you're going to go to jail.
Right. I just want to address Terry. How you doing, Terry? Terry's one of our residents, very much skeptical on who Julia is. And that's okay. So listen, Terry, we need to write off the 2 years, born 2 years after. Because if we're talking about the conspiracy, we're talking about genuine human transportation. And I can tell you through my own research and my own investigations, they come with new birth certificates. Okay. All of that stuff is fake. Okay. Just so you know, now I'm not saying you have to believe that. I just want you to know I've seen it in I've seen it personally. Okay. So you don't have to believe me, but I want you to know that by making that statement, you need to know that if I was to steal a car, I would fake the documentation. So when it comes to the criminal underworld, these things are streamlined, Terry. They're streamlined. Do you know what I'm saying?
The serial number.
Now, addition, there are childhood photos of Julia. Now, I have seen probably the 99% of everything that Julia has ever put out about herself or whatever. And I've seen nothing that convinces me that Julia existed with her family before she was a little, little person.
And also, let's take into consideration the mother.
Thanks,
her mother. Her mother could just come and say, no, here are the pictures of her when she was a kid, with us. Here's me.
Right?
You know what I mean?
And I'm not being funny. The mother just so happens, Terry, this is the one that blows my mind, right? Like, how suspicious is it that if you're embroiled in a conspiracy of human transportation and your mother just so happens to have multiple franchises of children's clothes, if you were wanting to have a business where you could move children from one place to another and no one would ask any questions, a children's clothes shop is brilliant because kids in there, no one suspects anything. Kids moving to and from, no one's going to expect anything. I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm just saying, Terry, I can't get it out of my head. Okay, and I'm not saying it is or it isn't, and I don't expect you to believe me, Terry, but you're very welcome here.
No, but like it's like the thing is that I don't understand why the parent. This is like Brigitte Macron. I don't know if you've seen Candace Owens series with Brigitte
Can
Macron.
I actually just leave you here to rant while I go and set up my other live stream, and I'll come back in a couple of minutes?
Yeah. Sure. I'll take questions, guys. I'll take questions. Any questions, I'll take them and I'll answer to the best of my ability. I'm not a lawyer, guys, but I do know a lot about Interpol and the law because I went through so many court cases. It's not even funny. So I laugh now, but I wasn't laughing back then. So any questions, please put them out there and I'll see what we could, how I can answer those things. Question: we're playing parts, but can't hear what Paula said, and the kid wakes up in a bag. Then I didn't get what Ron said, talking over each other. I'm sorry about that, guys. Yes, I'm sorry, Corey. No, it's just Ron saying that something about a bag. We can't really say very much about it too because the channel, the McCanns is a very, very weird topic on YouTube, guys. Trust me, it's yeah. And then what's so funny, D. Robinson? I wouldn't trust any DNA test now done. I imagine that you say by the UK government. Me neither. And the thing is that I think that they're using Julia, and they got to get more money for this thing because it makes no sense to keep this going. Usually, when a missing person is gone for more than 7 years, they usually declare them dead. That's usually the international standard. If a person is missing for 7 years or longer, it's usually declared dead. But I'm not sure if it's changed. And then Jack Healy, have they illegally arrested Julia? Well, from what I'm telling you, this is my personal experience, and because I lived it. If there was a red alert for Julia, the let's say the police in the UK, they go to Interpol, and the Interpol contacts the local police in Poland, and Poland contacts Julia and lets her know, at least even if they're not going to do anything, they have to tell her, listen, the UK just sent us this. What is there any answer, or do you want us to do that? Because I remember getting the phone call, and then
I just want to jump in just quickly. So, Kelly, don't waste your time worrying. This is the thing. Don't worry if somebody wants to say, oh, I believe Maddie is dead. There is a multitude of things. For example, and I don't want to say too much, but imagine, Kelly, if you're in a situation where you've studied IVF, right? And maybe you're involved in IVF. And let's say, for the case of this, that you're a bit mad, right? And you're into IVF, but also into human transportation. How incredible would it be if you could guarantee, for example, let's say Paula's a complete mental lunatic who wants to sell a baby, okay? And she can guarantee to have twins, okay? But only tells everyone she knows that she's having one child. She comes back from the hospital with one child. She lives her life with her one child. That one other child, though, has been sold. Okay. So we could be looking at a situation where somebody is no longer here, but somebody else is. And I'm not saying that's what it is. There's just a lot of factors in this case. There's a lot of allegedly, there's a lot of speculation, there's a lot of conspiracy because of the layers of fishiness across all of this. And I'll tell you something. I could sit here and convince you all that she is. I could sit here and convince you that she's a sister. I could convince you all of a lot of things. And if you ask me at the end of it all, what do I believe? I'd be like, I don't know. I don't know. Okay, but I can give you a multitude of theories, But I don't actually know. What I believe is Julia's awesome. She's not crazy. She deserves the answers. And by God, somebody's hiding something. Then that's what I feel. So I think that's the best way of putting it, really.
Well, to me, it's just that they should just let her find out.
right?
Why charge her? She's not. I mean, God knows that in the UK, there are people running around committing far worse crimes, and they don't arrest them.
Right?
They drive them back home and ask and apologize to them. You know, if you're
Yeah.
a painter and if you're well known and well connected, you know.
So yeah, in this case, whether you're for or against, just don't worry about if you hear someone say this or that. None of us know anything. You are just all the haters are just as right as all the supporters. I'm just as right as the next person. It's just
We're
I
trying to
keep
find
quite
out. The
I
best way
keep
to put
quite
this is we're all trying to find out, just like Julia is.
right
That's it.
100%. And I'll
That's
be honest with you, I'm way like I am way too heavily invested in Julie as a friend. So I am like I genuinely do not care. I
oh my God.
only care about Julia
I
getting
just want to
answers.
say
Oh no, I'm
something.
not angry with you,
No, I
Terry.
just want to say something.
Absolutely
I
not,
just want
Terry.
to
You're
say
all good,
something.
my G.
Red Glow, unfortunately, she's the wrong nationality. Do you understand the concept of unwilling travelers, children to another nation with false identity created? Do you understand the whole concept of that? We're not even sure if she was born in Poland.
Right? And I tell
I,
you something
do you
else.
understand that?
I just want to reiterate this to people. Mother and father have gone into hiding. Okay. The only place that I would be hiding if my child had been arrested in another country was as close to that goddamn prison as I could get to make sure my daughter felt supported. That's all I'd be doing.
Yeah.
Do you know? So honestly, I wish I had a little bit more money and I could do stupid things like just flying over Poland and asking them. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, really, really, really.
No, but the thing is that people have to understand. At the end of the day, this is a young woman who's been traumatized from a very young age. She just wants to find out who she is.
100%.
That's
And I want
it.
to remind
I
you
mean,
all of this.
and this is not a good look for the McCanns because they're sending a message that they're asking money. They just got money from the government, but then anybody trying to find out with, she's actually, it's like a process of elimination. Okay, let's eliminate this thing. You know, now we know. Now you know you don't have to worry that this could be your daughter because, again, as we said, this will detract people from coming forward saying, "Hey, I may be Madeline McCann," because you end up in
I
jail.
completely agree with you on that. Completely. I just want to say as well, we're in an era where all of you are being watched, whether you're pro McCanns or not pro McCanns. If you're part of anything, a server, a Facebook page, anything, you are all being watched right now. And I'm being honest. And I need to remind everyone that we need to word ourselves in conjunction with keeping ourselves safe. And in the UK, we have to be extra vigilant of that. So I just want to remind all of the supporters, all of the haters equally to just be vigilant on how you express yourself online when you verbally or name individuals that are incredibly famous. In this case, make sure you do things smartly and intelligently. There's ways of referring to individuals without naming individuals. And yeah,
Did
that's why
you
you
see
hear
what
me.
Katie Hopkins said? She just did a video because she just reported that the police got Scotland Yard just got 100K for the
Yep.
investigation. Do you know what she said?
What?
That